Welcome back to the special edition of Hannity, Islamists Among Us. Now, many Muslims describe Islam as a religion of peace, but a 2015 poll by the Center for Security Policy suggests otherwise. Now, when asked if violence against Americans here in the U.S. can be justified as part of, quote, global jihad, 25% of Muslim Americans polled said yes. Joining us now from the Muhammad Islamic Center in Greater Hartford, Imam Kashif Abdul Karim, and also from the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. Let's go to more polls. 29%, we'll put it up on the screen, of Muslim polls say violence against those who insult the Islamic faith is sometimes acceptable. That same poll says 51% of Muslims polled say Muslims in America should have the right and the choice of being governed by Sharia. Dr. Jasser, I'll put on the side of the screen certain quotes. I want you to respond to the polls and, you know, the Quran calling to cut off hands and feet of those who fight Allah, or Christians and Jews are deluded and not to take them as friends, and all these other quotes that we're putting up there. Explain how people interpret that literally.
Well, this is basically, Sean, the movements of political Islam, Wahhabism, these movements that have been fueled by petrodollars that dominate the leadership of our Muslim community, are exclusivist interpretations, literal interpretations that take passages that the Islam that I learned is more through an American of equality, of modern ideas, but the Islam that's being pumped out of Saudi Arabia, being pumped out of the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, or the Deobandis of Pakistan, is an Islam that demonizes minorities, that abuses women, that justifies things that is not only 7th century, but is just what I believe to be un-Islamic. But we Muslims have to own up to the fact that the interpretations of some of those passages is not being done in an American lens. And our Muslim Reform Movement put forth a declaration that said we reject apostasy laws, we reject blasphemy laws, we reject violent jihad. And there are ways, Sean, to interpret that passages in ways that are commensurate with the 21st century. But the majority of our leadership in America is silent and missing in action on these reforms necessary.
Imam, I want you to respond to the polls and these quotes that we're putting up on Islam, you know, and the literal interpretation that some have of this.
Well, first of all, we don't really agree with that particular poll. That particular poll was denied as being shoddy, according to the Washington Post.
What about these quotes about cut off the hands and feet of those who fight Allah? What about Jews and Christians are deluded and take neither Christians nor Jews for your friends?
Well, that particular verse, which deals with stealing, actually deals with if a person steals, you cut off their hand. But if the person has been stealing because he's hungry or he's dealing with a difficulty, the crime is not on the person, but it's on the community. We're taking these Sharia laws that have been presented to us,
but the Quran is being used to justify murder. It's being used to justify mothers and fathers strapping suicide vests on their own children and promising them 72 virgins in heaven. So obviously they're taking it from somewhere, and they cite the Quran.
I think the Imam's answer is right. Go ahead.
Imam? Those things that you're talking about are really not from the Quran. They're from different hadith, which has been taken out of context.
Well, the Quran or the hadith, but that's where they're getting their radicalism from. They're taking it literally.
No, when you take, just like there was Christians in America lynching black people for years, right-minded people understood that was not Christianity.
Okay, but radical Islam is now the world's problem. That's what we're dealing with. All right, last word, Zuhdi, real quick.
Imam, you're being either delusional or ignorant, or you're being deceptive of the interpretations that are coming out of Saudi Arabia that are in the Quran that we have to reinterpret. So the apologetics that you're providing actually prove Sean's point and prove the poll, which is most Muslims reject or simply accept that somehow as part of God's law, when in fact we have to reform the literal interpretation and say that the majority of the leadership of our faith are archaic and medieval in their interpretations, and we need to reject it openly. And the fact that you're denying that actually proves the poll, because you're not allowing a conversation to admit that we have a problem.
All right, Imam, real quick, respond to that.
No, we don't have a problem. I'm not ignorant or delusional. I did say, first of all, that the poll was not accurate. The poll only included 600 people.
Wait, Imam, are you saying we don't have a problem with radical Islam? Are you saying we don't have a problem with that?
We have a problem with people who are claiming Islam as a tool to do bad things in the world. Yes,
where are they getting their inspiration from?
The Saudis beheading, the Muslim Brotherhood attacking people because of their speech, that's not happening?
We got to go. I'm just out of time. I appreciate it. Dr. Jasser, I think you can take back the religion.
Before the religion instead of putting the religion first.
More of this special edition of Hannity, Islamists Among Us, as we continue.